In 605 BC, the armies of Babylon breached the walls of Jerusalem, leaving the city in ruins and its people captive to a foreign superpower. Babylonian officials were highly selective, deporting only the brightest, healthiest, and most elite youths of Judah to serve in the heart of the capital. When these exiles arrived, they were met by a capital city of intimidating scale. The wealth and architectural dominance of Babylon were designed to make any captive feel utterly insignificant. This diagram maps three converging pressures Babylon used to erase captives' heritage. First, identity, stripping Hebrew youths of given names for Babylonian ones. Second, worldview, drafting them into rigorous education to overwrite theology. Finally, sustenance, controlling their diet with food from the king's table. A believer trapped in this system faced a heavy dilemma. Every single piece of their culture, language, and daily survival was being actively overwritten by a hostile state. But the second verse of Daniel reveals the theology operating behind the exile. The text states clearly that the Lord handed the king of Judah over to Nebuchadnezzar. Babylon's apparent victory was an illusion. God was moving his own pieces on the board. The food at the king's table served a specific political purpose. To share food and drink in the ancient world was a public declaration of friendship, manufacturing a relationship of loyalty and dependence on the empire. Daniel quietly drew a line. He approached his overseers and requested a restricted diet of only vegetables and water. By refusing the rich meats and wine, Daniel chose elements that grow naturally from the earth. He bypassed the king's manufactured wealth, choosing instead a reliance on the Creator's natural provision. After a 10-day trial, the physical results were undeniable. Daniel and his three friends appeared healthier and better nourished than all the youths consuming the royal food. This physical vitality demonstrated that a resolute reliance on God strips the state of its ability to manufacture loyalty through patronage. That same dynamic scales up to a geopolitical level in the second chapter, when King Nebuchadnezzar is haunted by a dream of a massive, glowing statue. This schematic breaks down exactly what the king saw. The statue is segmented into descending metallic values, mapped against a timeline of successive human empires. It begins with a head of solid gold, descending into a chest of silver, a waist of bronze, and legs of iron. But look at the base of the timeline. The feet are a brittle mixture of iron and baked clay. Because those two materials cannot fuse, a structural flaw is built directly into the foundation of the final empire. Suddenly, a stone cut out of a mountain without hemulhumes strikes the statue directly on those fragile feet. The impact instantly shatters the entire monument into a cloud of dust. Human empires project an image of permanence and strength, yet they share an inherent fragility that leaves them vulnerable to divine interruption. People often read these prophetic chapters as a complex conspiracy roadmap, trying to match the toes of the statue to modern political alliances or specific future dates. That speculative framework misses the text's actual intent. Daniel is providing a straightforward vision of the kingdom of God. The uncut stone represents the inauguration of God's kingdom, breaking into human history through Jesus Christ. The statue is a product of smelting and human manufacture. The stone is unhewn, mirroring Daniel's choice of God's natural provision over the king's process table. This geometric representation tracks the trajectory of the kingdom. It begins as a small, organic shape that expands until it eclipses the rigidly segmented timeline of human empires. Many of us live under intense, daily pressure to assimilate to a culture that is openly hostile to our faith, facing our own versions of the Babylonian assimilation machine. We can maintain quiet, daily obedience in the small things, just as Daniel did with his food, because we already know the final geopolitical reality. The kingdom of the uncut stone is the only empire that will last forever.